Hi, my name is Brittany-O'Connell, and today I have with me Kyla and Liz to discuss theoretical issues with the relevance of family or work or group relationships. So, theoretical things are based on theories and ideas, while practical ones are based on practice. Theoretical thinking can be really helpful when you're trying to imagine something or problem solve. So, the first theory is conflict that we are going to discuss. So, there's 5 stages, strategies for managing conflict. Those are competing, avoiding, accommodating, compromising, and collaborating. Conflict is defined as a dash between individuals arising out of a difference in thoughts, process, attitudes, understanding, interests, etc. So, guys, now that we have that all figured out, Kyla, how does compromising either help positively in a personal one-on-one setting, whether it be between a family member, friendship, relationship? How does compromising positively affect an outcome?
So, Brittany. No. So, Brittany, I believe that positive compromising can play a positive role in a team or a one-on-one setting when everybody has a common goal and I'm looking for the word. When you get what I'm saying, like
Yeah. So basically, let's focus on one-on-one. So how does compromising one-on-one, is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
in some ways it can be an advantage, and another way it can be a disadvantage. Like, take this into instance, Brittany.
Okay.
You know how you were little and then you asked your parents for a doll, but they were like, you have to clean up your room. So on your side, it's an advantage because you could easily clean up your room and get the doll. Versus on your parents' side, it's a disadvantage where they have to come out their pocket and pay for a doll. You only can play with for 2 days.
Thank you, Kyla, for that. So, Liz, to to piggyback off of Kyla's points, how does compromising then affect a team setting, either positively or negatively?
I believe compromising affects team setting positively, only because, if 2 people are arguing or disagreeing on one topic, it's going to affect the entire, morale of the team, which will in turn kind of go into, when they are competing, they won't want to trust each other or work together. So if they can come together and kind of just agree to disagree on a topic and work together in that sense, that'll transition into when they are competing together as well.
So, to kind of go back to your point that you just stated, if 2 people are arguing on a team, then does that mean, if they just kind of ignore what they're arguing about to help the morale of the team, if they just compromise a little bit with each other, is that really going to help them too individually then?
So you're asking that if they would just ignore what
Basically.
they're trying? So I think that in a certain situations it is better to ignore because there's always a time and place for things. So, if they need to ignore the situation for the time being for the morale of the team, then that's cool. And then later down the road, they can always come back to that situation and kind of focus on it themselves later.
I see. Well, those are good points. Those are good ones. So, to elaborate on that, Kyla, if avoiding a situation between 2 people is sometimes good, is there situations that avoiding be like a topic or an incident between two people on a team sitting, is it ever bad then for them to just ignore like what's going on?
In some situations, ignoring it is the way to go because sometimes when we get in an argument with a person we work with, it's always something personal. It's never really about the work. And as a team, you guys don't have to be friends, but you all have to work as a collective union.
I like it. I like it. What about like when it comes to like family members though? What if it's like an argument or something when it comes to like a primary family member? Would you just ignore the situation and avoid it like it didn't happen, or what?
In my personal opinion, family is family. So it's you're gonna hear me out and understand where I'm coming from. And then like when it gets to the chance for me to hear you out, then that's when we can, have that communication. But if it's on a team setting, it's straight work versus if it's just family, like you have to understand like where I'm coming from.
I got it. Liz, what about in a relationship setting? Could avoiding a situation be positive or negative, or does it depend?
I feel like in a relationship, it's best to be open about any type of situation. So even if you do have to take the time to yourself to just take a minute and kind of gather your thoughts, that's fine. But I think you should always kind of go back to the situation at hand and talk it out with that other person. Whether you guys agree or disagree, it's still better to get it out. Otherwise, it's just going to build up and explode later down the road.
I like it. I like it. So another theoretical issue that we're going to talk about and move towards is listening. So listening is a primary means through which we learn new information. So, Kyla,
Brittany,
do you think listening skills are important, or how are they important on like a team setting?
there is no like, what's the saying? There's no I in team. So if you don't listen to your counterpart, how is anything going to get done? How are you going to become a union if everybody's just listening to themselves? Everybody has good ideas, and everybody ideas can work. It's just the fact of it is that you have to listen to everybody's ideas and accept it. Because if you're not listening, then nothing's really going to get done. Because you can be terrible at some things, and then somebody can be great at some things, but you always want to do something yourself, right? And it goes, down the drain.
Down the drain.
And if you're in an organization that is, what's the word? No, it's
Renowned,
not.
prestige.
Yes. High standards. And you go do something without your team because you weren't listening, that's an issue.
It is an issue.
Have you ever had an issue like that?
I have indeed had an issue like that in multiple situations. But we learn from them and we move on. Don't repeat the past. Okay, so then Liz, what do you think about is listening skills? Are they important, or how are they important necessarily in like a one-on-one setting between either family, friendship, relationship?
I think that listening can be a very important factor because if you're not actually listening to what like the other person is saying, then you won't actually know how to respond to the situation. For instance, if someone is upset and mad, but you're not really listening to them and you're just going to respond with your own opinion, it could really just upset the other person again, or even more. So listening to what the other person, family member, relationship is saying will just really allow the conversation to go in the right direction.
I got it. So which ones, I guess, do you both think is more effective? Kyla, if you want to answer that first, do you think listening skills are more effective on a one-on-one setting or in like a team setting or a group setting?
Both.
Can you elaborate on that point?
Listening is key.
Okay. I
You
thought
know,
communication was key though.
It starts with listening.
It starts with High five, Liz. It starts with listening. Okay. You know, our five senses all have to work together
I got it.
because you can't. You can't. You can't speak if you can't hear.
So you ask if listening, or what was the question again?
Like, do you
Listening or-
believe listening skills are more effective in like a one-on-one situation or like in a team group situation?
All right, and we were saying both, and I agree with her because like it all starts with listening. So there's processes out there and plans and procedures, and they all have steps. And I think listening is the first step to even be able to communicate to anybody else. So you need to have good communication, and you need to communicate through problems, but that all starts with listening.
Preach.
I like it. Okay, so I mean, you guys seem to be very knowledgeable of these points. What kind of like teams or organizations have you guys been a part of? Just so our audience is aware.
I have played many sports out throughout high school, and I also went to college for bowling. So I was on many different types of sports teams as well as different roles. I was a captain on some, just a player on others. So I got a lot of different viewpoints on different situations that allowed me to kind of have my opinion on the topic.
What about you, Kyla? What kind of teams or organizations have you been a part of throughout your years?
Well, Brittany, let me tell you. I made it to the Olympics 'cause I was a swimmer. It's like, no, I'm just playing. Okay. I played softball most of my life. So softball is life. I played soccer. I was a part of a lot of youth organizations, whether it was in church or it was in school. Like in school, I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America, if you didn't know, and Manners, Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and other related sciences, as you can see. So those organizations, that's the word, really shaped me, you know, and taught me my skills.
Well, since you've been a part of so many, do you think it's easier to listen and to communicate on a team or organization that's smaller or bigger?
I mean, sports teams are usually like medium size. So let's take it to a small scale. Um, m- Communicating as a small group really helps because there's there's always going to be one person doing more than one thing. Versus in a large group, listening is key because there's so many that something can go wrong if you don't listen to what the leader or the group leader or whoever's leading the challenge or the activity for the day is doing.
I see, okay. So, Liz, do you think that environmental factors or like cognitive factors, like basically are a negative impact on listening? So environmental factors such as like lighting, or if someone's like eating around you, if there's other noises, or like cognitive where like you're thinking about other things or you're stressed or whatever and somebody's trying to talk to you, like do you think those barriers are going to affect your listening? Like which one would be worse in your opinion? Environmental or like cognitive?
Which one would be worse? I I personally think that both of them are going to affect anybody who's trying to listen, just because any distraction is going to be a distraction. But I also think it's based on the person, who can multitask and do those types of things better. So I really think it depends on that. But I mean, environmental factors are going to be a big problem with listening to the other person. So I think they can both be a negative effect.
Okay. Do you have a preference to one? Do you have which one could be worse or better?
Um, both.
both can be disadvantages?
Both can be disadvantages, and some have their advantages. So, like, I really can't choose right now.
That's good. Well, I appreciate you guys talking to me about these theoretical issues in today's society.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Brittany.